Greetings, Wambui Bahati here. Welcome to Wambui Made It. Today I'm going to be addressing an issue that some people in the comments have told me they're having, which involves loom knitting on the long loom. I have a video called How to Loom Knit on the Long Loom, and then I have a second video called How to Take It Off the Long Loom. So the issue is taking it off the long loom. And what seems to be happening is that what I have instructed you to do to take a project off the loom often comes out too tight for a lot of people. And so what their concern is, and rightly so, is that the beginning of the project is a different width than the end of the project because it's just too tight, and they're wondering how to take it off without it being so tight. And so I wish I could call out the names of all the people who I'm speaking to specifically, but I am not that organized. So shout out to you. And I hope this not only helps you, but help others who may have that same concern when taking the project off the long loom. And so what we're going for is, like, this was loom knitted on the long loom, and both of these ends are the same width. And, you know, I've been playing around with this. It took me a long time to try to figure out what to do to resolve that problem. And so today, that's what I'm going to be talking to you about, a way to resolve that problem so that you don't have one end that's tighter than the other end. Okay, so with all of that said, you know what? Let's just get to it. So this is what we're going for. We're going for a cast on end that pretty much matches the cast off end in that they're even. There's no tightness here. It's all even. Now, I do have to say that on the cast on, these are the two. This is the first one right here where I'm touching right now. That's the cast on. This is the cast on end. And then this thicker one is the cast off end. Now, the reason why this one is thicker is because it's the same stitch, but I haven't worked out yet how to get them both to be either doubles or singles. So when I cast off this one right here, it's the same stitch, but it's with double yarns. It's close enough. It works for me. It may not be close enough for those of you who are real sticklers and professional and perfectionist. So I'm still working on that. I haven't given up. But I thought that the main issue to be addressed at this time is the issue of the tightness and the ends not matching or being wonky because one end was tighter than the other. So what we have here is some even ends. The ends match. The ends are even. The ends match. There's no wonkiness, no tightness. And so that's what I'm going to show you right now. So on your long loom, let's say you have done the rows that you wanted to do and that you're now ready to cast off, okay? So you know what I'm going to do, though? I'm going to go ahead, just to refresh memories. I'm going to do one row. For those of you who want to skip ahead, I'm going to have chapters below this video. But I am going to do one row. I'm not going to teach you how to do it here. There is a video, and I'll have that link below too, as to how to loom knit on the long loom, according to me. And I'm going to go ahead now and just do one row. And so this is the stitch, as you recall, where we're crossing over. And in my original video where I'm showing how to do this stitch, I'm talking about crossing the street and how we want to make sure every peg has a little wrap, and I say give every peg a scarf, and that's some of the language that I'm using in the original video. So I'm just doing this to refresh your mind, and also for those who may not have seen that, to give you an idea of what we're talking about here. And this is loom knitting on the long loom. And so then when we get to the end, of course, we take our last one. And this is, again, this video is not teaching you or any tutorial on how to do that. This is just a refresher because I want to show you how to take it off the loom without the tightness that a lot of people have. So I'm just showing you. Also, one of the other questions that I do get about knitting on the long loom is when they say, but it feels like it's going to be too loose. It's just too loose. And it does feel like it's too loose. And when people say that to me, then I say, if you've just started, just keep going. Just keep going, because it just feels like you're just picking up the loop and just throwing it over there. There's no tension. There's no pulling. You're just throwing the stitches in the street or in the ditch. And it does feel like it is too loose. But I say, just keep going. It's going to work itself out. And as you can see, it does. It works itself out. And if you're using a thicker yarn, this yarn right here is, I believe, a number 4 worsted weight. But if you're using a 5 or a thicker yarn, then it's even more amazing, because you're doing the same thing and it feels the same way, but there is no transparency. There are hardly any holes that you see. If I'm doing a shawl, I really like it light like this when I'm doing a shawl. So it's your preference. But if you just keep going, even though it feels like, oh, it's just so loose, and I know that feeling because that's how it feels, but just keep going and it will work itself out. Okay, so let's say we've finished our row. So now we're ready to take our scarf or our Afghan section off the long loom. So we're going to go ahead and push everything down. Push this down here. Okay, and once we have everything down, one of the things that you want to make sure is your ball of yarn or your working yarn is to your right. It's to your right, and it's on the peg up here. Okay, so this is the peg that has our working yarn right here. So we're going to deal with that peg first. And what we're going to do is we're going to find the peg with the working yarn around it, and we're going to pull. We're going to start pulling that yarn. Okay, so we're going to pull this yarn here, and we're going to pull that yarn. We're going to keep pulling the working yarn. We got this gigantic loop here. We're going to just keep pulling that, and the idea is to pull that working yarn until you have enough to, okay, do this twice. That's once, and this would be twice. Okay, so we have enough to do that twice. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put our finger here in that gigantic loop that we just made by pulling out the yarn. Going to put our finger there, and then we're going to go across from that one. We're going to pull. Only one end is going to pull, and when you find the end that pulls, you're going to pull. You're going to keep your finger there at that peg, and you're going to pull, and you're just going to pull, and you're going to pull, all right, until it's touching your finger. All right, so when it's touching your finger, you're pretty much going to take that out, and you have a big loop that looks like that. Okay, now you're going to go to the other side, and you're going to put your finger by this peg right here, and you're just going to put your finger there. You're going to go across to the next one. Okay, the one directly across we just did. So when we go across, we're going to find the next one that needs to be pulled. We're going to find that yarn, and we're going to pull, and just pull, and pull, 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 and you're going to pull that. And again, your finger's going to be there to stop it. When you take your finger out, you're going to have a big old loop, like really giant loops. Okay, so once you've done that, you're going to go back to the enormous loop over here. Put our finger right here. Again, we're putting our finger here because we want to make sure that the new loops that we're making are big enough for you to get a finger and a half in. So we want some huge loops. We're just making huge loops. Okay, so here we go, another huge loop. Once we have that loop and it's big enough to get a finger and a half in, take it out. Okay, you're going to go across from there and We're going to put our finger here in the gigantic loop. We're going to go across, but we've already done that one, so we're going to go across and go to the next one that needs to be pulled. Okay, and that would be this one. So we're going to pull, 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 pull. And we're just going to pull until we get that yarn up to my finger. But we want to make sure we have it big enough so all these loops right here should be just really huge loops, okay? And then we're going to do the same over here. Put our finger here, go across to the next one that needs to be pulled, and we're going to pull that. All right, so we're going to pull, okay? And you're just going to pull. And this is what we're going to do for the whole length of this loom. All right, so very big loops we want. Again, put our finger over here, go across. That one's been done, so go to the next one and pull the next one that needs to be pulled. Okay, and pull, 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 pull. And when you have enough left, you should be able to get 1.5 fingers in that loop. We want these loops big, man. We want loops, big loops. All right, go into the big excess loop over here, go across from it and pull the next one. That's this one here. Okay, and you're going to leave enough for 1.5 fingers right there. Okay, right there. Where's that one? Okay, good, good, good. Put your finger, go across to pull it. That one's been pulled, so you're going to go next door and pull the next one that needs to be pulled. And keeping your finger there, right, by this peg, so that when it comes in, it doesn't hug the peg, it hugs your finger and leaves enough room for you to have a loop where you could get 1.5 fingers in that loop if you wanted to. All right, then we're going to go back to our excess yarn over here, put our finger there, go across. This is the next one that needs to be done. Okay, we're going to pull that one. Okay. All right, and now put our finger in the excess yarn, go across to the next one that needs to be pulled, and you're going to pull that one. Okay. All right. All right, now excess, put your finger where the excess yarn is and, and pull. Okay, gonna put our finger where the excess yarn is, go across the next one that needs to be pulled, and we're gonna pull it. And you're just gonna pull, 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 and leave enough room to get 2 fingers in each of these loops. All right, go to the excess yarn, put your finger there by that peg, go across. Which one needs to be pulled? This one, okay? So we're gonna pull this one. Keep our finger there because we don't want, all right? Excess yarn, go across to the next one that needs to be pulled and pull it. beautiful loops on the loom right here. Every loop big enough to get a finger and a half in. Now the only loop that is not so large is this one right here. This is the last loop. Now this one worked out perfectly. I'm going to show you, I'm going to insert a little clip right here to show you what you would do should you have excess yarn left over here. Okay, and this is going to be our last one. We're going to pull this. And what I'm about to do now may seem kind of cruel, but it works. So what I have been doing is I flip that and we tie this one. And we make, this is the only one that's tight. We want this one to be right up on the peg. This one here. Okay, so there, we've done that. Okay, and we'll deal with that later. So once you've done all of this and you have your big loops here and you have either it's worked out perfectly and you have a little small loop here, or you had to do the method where you just cut and tie that, it all works out really well. But so what you're going to do now with these big loops is you're going to take the row that's in back and you're going to put it on top. You're going to fold this row right here on top of this row right here. And so you're going to do that by taking each of these loops and putting them on. And you can just kind of pull your project a little bit to help make sure those loops don't jump off as you go. So we're just going to be taking the back loops and putting them on the front. We're going from the back to the front. Again, you can just kind of pull on your project to keep the loops down. We don't want them to jump off. And just that's all we're going to do. Back to front. Okay, back to front. And we're going to go down the line and move all the back loops to the front. You go, you go, you go. All right. And there you go. All right, so again, we're going to pull on our, just to keep those loops. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to do a regular chain stitch cast off, which is going to mean I'm going to go into the second, I'm going to come in just a little bit. I'm going to go into the second peg. I'm going to skip the first, go into the second, and you should be able to do this whole thing with fingers. You don't need the pick anymore. Okay, so pick up the second, the two. You're going to be working in twos. You're going to be treating these two loops, each two loops, as if they were one. So we're going to pick up these two loops together and we're going to put them on the first peg, and then we're going to take those bottom loops from the and put them on top. And then once we've done that, we're going to take these two loops, which we're treating as one, and move it in. Okay, we're going to go into the second peg. All right, we're going to pick up these loops that are on the peg, put them on the peg that's to the left. Then we're going to take the bottom loops, which we are treating as one loop, and put it over. going to do this throughout the whole loom. So we're just going to keep going, not touch the first one. We're always going to start with the second peg in. We're going to pick up the loops on the second peg, put them on top of the first peg to our left, go to the bottom, get those 2 loops, put them over, and now we're going to move this loop back over here. So I'm going to move this back over here. So treating the 2 loops as one, going to pick it up, put it on the loop to the left, get those bottom 2, pull them over the top. Okay, and we're not pulling or anything, everything is just very gentle, no tension, no pressure, and we're going to move back in. All right, and now we're going to go into the second peg. Okay, we're going to lift it up, 2 together, and put it on to the left. Go to the bottom, up and over. Now we have 2 pieces of yarn, but we're treating them as one, so we're going to move in. Okay, we're going to go to the second one, put it on top of the first one, take these 2 loops up and over. Now we're going to move these 2 loops back in. Last 2, we're going to take these 2 at the end, put them on the peg to the left. We're going to go in and get those 2 on the bottom, lift it up and over, and now we're just going to go ahead and lift this out of our, okay, so now we have these 2 on the end. We're going to go ahead and we're going to cut at this point. Keep your finger in those 2 loops. Those are your last 2 loops. You're going to get your scissors and we're going to cut our working yarn. Okay. Now we're going to take the working yarn and we're going to put it through those 2 loops, and we're just going to pull like that. All right. Now, okay, so this is what we have. So what we have is we don't have any tightness up here. We don't have any pulling. The beginning is even with the end. The next thing that I'm working on is, like I said, they're the same stitch, but this is double. The one that we just took off, as you know, was the double strands, and the one we cast on with was single strands. So I am working on getting the stitches to match as well, but I do believe that I've crossed a big hurdle in that at least we can take our project off the long loom without having that tightness, and our beginning will match our end. Okay, so I hope this has been helpful. I know it's been helpful to me, and I hope it's been helpful to a lot of you who were having issues with the tightness when taking it off the long loom. Okay, so go forth, loom knit something pretty, and enjoy.